Okay, folks, welcome. We now have about 30 folks on this feed, and it looks like we have all our speakers. So my name is Gary Clark. I'm the President and CEO of the Greater Fremont Development Council, and I'm pleased to be with you all today because we have a great group of individuals who would like to give some updates based on what's been happening in our world and our community in Dodge County specifically. But obviously this is a worldwide issue with COVID-19. I'm going to go ahead and just ask that we go through the list of speakers just for a brief intro, just to say who you are and who you're with. And then I'll call out some housekeeping rules of thumb, and then we'll just dive right in, and everyone has a little bit of time to just give a brief update, and then we'll try to do some question and answer pieces. Remember, there's a Zoom group chat to the side. Those of you who are following along via phone or on the Zoom, so if you have questions, we'll gather them and give the speakers time to give their presentation before diving into that. This is being recorded on our cloud. And with that being said, let's start with Care Corps Lifehouse with an introduction.
Hello, my name is Tara Kuchera, and I'm the CEO at Care Corps Lifehouse.
All right, let's go with United Way.
Hi, I'm Christy Fiala, Executive Director for Fremont Area United Way.
We can just go down the line. If you're a speaker, just go down the line.
Hi, everybody. Melissa Deers here with Executive Director of the Fremont Area Community Foundation.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tara Ewing. I'm the Health Director for the Three Rivers Public Health Department.
Hi, and I'm Michelle Padilla with Lutheran Family Services, the Fremont location.
Okay, just to be fair, are we missing anyone? I don't believe so. Just to be clear, I have hit record for everyone. So you are now live. And also, I want to make sure that everyone stays muted, even speakers, just to give each of you your time. We'll start off in the order that we introduced ourselves and go from there. Any final housekeeping questions? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and just kind of check on the questions that may pop up. And Tara, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just wanted to give an update regarding our shelter. At the right now, we're about half full. We are still taking folks into the shelter if you have a need for that. And our shelter is located at 723 North Broad. Give us a call if you are in need of shelter, and we just have some screening questions that we'll do over the phone. That number is 721-3125. Our pantry located at 549 North 8th Street has been extremely busy. We've seen, I believe, over 70 new, new families that have never accessed pantry. So if you are in need of food, please come visit us at the pantry. Pantry hours are Tuesdays from 10 to 2, Thursdays from 5 to 7, and then every other Saturday by appointment. If you are in need of food but you can't get to us, please call us and we can make arrangements to get some food delivered to you. Again, just call us at our main business number at 721-3125. Our prevention program is been very busy lately. All 6 of our case managers have been trained in the basic needs procedures. So if you are needing assistance with rent or utilities, call the United Way number. It's 402-721-4157. And United Way Central Navigator can get you connected to whichever case manager within our agencies has the next opening. I also want to encourage people to go onto the DHS website and file for economic assistance. There is LIHEAP has crisis funding for anyone who needs assistance with their utility bill. And you don't have to be just a renter. You can be a renter or a homeowner for that assistance with your utility bills. And I also know, I believe the city is making arrangements and payment arrangements with folks. So you don't want to not be at least making some payments every single month. You don't want, 2 months to go by and then you have a very large bill. Also, anyone who needs assistance with maybe additional food stamps, definitely apply for the SNAP program through that DHS website as well. And at the moment, DHS has bumped every SNAP participant up to the maximum amount of benefit based on their household size. I think that's all I have right now from what's going on. We're staying very, very busy with the rent and utilities. So continue to call the United Way number, and they can get you to the Central Navigator, who will connect you to a case manager in the community who can help you with those rent or utilities.
All right. Thank you, Tara, for that update. And we're just going to keep moving down the line. So if you introduced yourself, you're next.
Okay, I believe I introduced myself next. Thank you. I'm Christy with Fremont Area United Way. Thanks, Gary, for hosting this gathering and for recording this and helping to get this information out to the community, as well as thank you to all my colleagues joining me and those listening in. Just thanks for the effort to keep doing the work and to do what we can for the community. So I quickly am going to speak in English and then say the same thing in Spanish, so that for those listening or for the recording and sharing this, that will be available. So here we go. I just want to share 3 things that United Way has worked to do, along with many, many others, to try to respond. First of all, we started 211, which is always available, but we're working hard to make it informed. It is a phone number, so you just dial 211. It's available 24/7, so anyone can call at any time. There are a group of individuals answering that in Omaha, but we try to keep them informed with what's going on in our county and in our area, so that the individuals answering the phone there can do their best to help get you connected, to get you information. All of us are receiving a lot of information very quickly. It can be overwhelming, so if you prefer to talk to someone, know that that phone number is available. The other item that Fremont Area United Way has worked to provide is that we have a warehouse, and we had that filled with our flood response work, and we've been able to transition and utilize that space for the community. So whether that's with Three Rivers or with the emergency management, we've worked to utilize that space to serve the community as best as possible. And then, as Tara mentioned and others will mention, I do just want to really emphasize that basic needs. No one expected this to happen, and no one should be embarrassed to reach out for help. So when you call United Way, we connect you to a case manager that, as Tara said, is first available, maybe someone who speaks the language that you need, someone who understands your situation. So there are case managers throughout the community, Lutheran Family Services, Lifehouse, Head Start, who are all there to talk to you, to get all of your information. They help fill out that application, but they also help connect you to what you're needing. Once that information is collected and that paperwork is filled out, it's sent to United Way, and then we work to get the checks out to the landlords, the banks, for mortgage companies, utility department. So don't wait until you have an eviction notice or until it's too late. Be sure to reach out, give us a call, and let us get you connected and get that process started. I'm now going to try to quickly say that in Spanish. Hola, buenas tardes, me llamo Christy, soy director de United Way. La idea de United Way es que vivimos juntos, que trabajamos unidos. Entonces, quiero explicar tres cosas que hay opciones por usted si está buscando ayuda. Primero es el 211. Eso es un número de teléfono donde hablan español que usted puede llamar, que es gratis y que tiene gente que puede contestar al teléfono y hablar contigo. Está disponible 24 horas del día, 7 días de la semana. Entonces, por favor, si está buscando ayuda y información, puede llamar a este número y hablar con alguien. También, United Way tiene una bodega que estamos usando para recibir donaciones y para dar las donaciones a la gente. Entonces, eso es algo que puede usar en la comunidad por las necesidades. Y es algo que estamos haciendo por la gente. La última cosa que quiero explicar que es muy importante es que tiene que saber cualquier persona a veces necesita ayuda. A veces está buscando alguien que puede ayudar. Entonces, tenemos algo por las necesidades básicas. Si está buscando a alguien que puede ayudarte a pagar su renta, pagar su electricidad, entonces puede llamar a este número que está aquí al 402-721-4157. Y eso es un número que puede llamar y alguien va a hablar contigo sobre qué es su caso, qué está pasando. Vamos a llenar papeles y vamos a ver si podemos pagar por su renta de su lote, por su renta de su casa, por su renta de su apartamento, qué es su situación. Y no debería tener vergüenza, nadie sabía que este viene, entonces estamos en esto juntos y queremos ayudar. Y ojalá que si usted es alguien que ocupa esta ayuda, que puede llamar y buscar a alguien que puede ayudar. Y gracias por su tiempo y gracias a escuchar eso. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone, for your time today, and I hope we can answer some questions.
All right, thank you, Christy. Before the next person goes, I just want to remind everyone that we have question and answer following all of this, these updates. Again, want to thank all of the speakers. And then it looks as though we have about 38 participants on the call currently. So go ahead with the next group.
Shall I jump in?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Go for it. Melissa Deers again with the Fremont Area Community Foundation. Appreciate everybody making time to be here today. For the Community Foundation, we really view ourselves as being a connector between resources and individuals who need help, and in particular the nonprofits who are uniquely positioned to provide that help. So through organizations like Lifehouse and the Fremont Area United Way and so many others, we have been busy working to survey our area nonprofits to find out where the COVID-19 pandemic needs are presenting themselves, and doing what we can to make sure that we are connecting resources to those efforts for those individuals and organizations who are really the boots on the ground. So we did create a fund at the request of some donors. It's called our Fremont Area COVID-19 Response Fund. It's available on our website. And if you have folks that are reaching out wanting to know what they can do to help financially, that's a great place to send them. I know all of the nonprofits too are welcoming donations to help them meet their individual program needs and respond as effectively as they can. But that is one fund that's available and is going to be useful to us as we work with potential funders outside the Fremont area as well. In an effort to make sure that we are stepping up and helping to provide those resources in a timely fashion while all of us are awaiting the federal funding programs and all of that to trickle down into the communities, we have modified our grant making process. We typically award grants 4 times a year. The first the second quarter rather of the year, we had our grant deadline of April 1st. We've expedited our grant review process and have already approved grants to organizations that submitted applications to us. A number of those were needing assistance with operating support and really kind of first line responder type needs, requests for helping individuals with rent assistance and utilities, that sort of thing. But then also anticipating that their fundraising efforts, lots of our nonprofits have their spring fundraising events happening right now, and with social distancing and CDC requirements, all of that is changing. And so we wanted to make sure that while we're waiting for those programs that are going to be, I'm sure, quite helpful, while we're waiting for those funds to arrive and be at the ready, we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to help those organizations continue to help families in need. So we did make that first round of grants just this past week, and we're happy to be in a position to do that. In addition to that, we have been, and a lot of the folks around the table, some of our presenters today have also been involved in a weekly Zoom meeting that is kind of loosely referred to as our Fremont Area COVID-19 Task Force. Those of you who are familiar with the long-term recovery effort following our major 2019 flood event last year know that there have been people who continue to work very hard to this day, meeting regularly to assess progress on flood mitigation and recovery. A number of those folks have joined in the COVID-19 response in our meeting, kind of pivoting our attention between flood recovery, which is continuing, and also COVID-19 response. And so that group meets every Wednesday. It's represented by folks involved with city work, healthcare, of course our nonprofits, which are so vital, our first responders, boots on the ground, as well as school officials. We want to make sure that we're helping everybody get the help that they need to do what they need to do to serve their constituents as best they can. So we remain poised to step up and help where needed. And we encourage anybody who's needing help to reach out to individual nonprofits, but you're also more than welcome to reach out to us. We do have appointees involved in that weekly meeting so that, for example, Senator Lynn Walls can take back all that information to the state officials and can report back what our local needs are here. So please feel free to reach out to us. And do please mark your calendars for May 5th, the Fremont Area Big Give. We thought last year was going to be a momentous year with help being especially critical for our nonprofit partners. Again, this year is presenting itself as yet another opportunity for folks to really step up and make a big difference with as little as a $10 gift. So please do mark your calendar, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. It also happens to coincide with Giving Tuesday, which was bumped up with an extra event this year. Typically it happens after the Thanksgiving holiday in November. They're doing a second one on May 5th this year too. So everybody's going to be thinking about how they can help those in need. Please mark your calendars and help us celebrate the collective effort it takes to keep our community strong.
Thanks, Melissa. That was excellent. Thanks to all the speakers again. It looks like we're at 39 with 31 non-video participants, and Kelly's doing a good job of posting kind of the comments on the chat section. And let's just move on to Tara at Three Rivers.
Yes, hello there. Can you guys hear me all right? Yes, okay. So I am Tara Ewing with Three Rivers Public Health Department. Thank you for letting us be on with you guys today and hear about all the tremendous things that are happening within our community. I thought maybe the first thing that I would do is I would just give you guys just a pretty brief overview of what's happening here within Dodge County to date with COVID-19 positive cases. To date, we've got 7 positive cases, and we haven't had any new cases this week, and a lot of people have thought, well, that's really good. My goal is not to be a Debbie Downer, But the reality is that it's here, within our communities. And unfortunately, we do not have wide testing capabilities due to testing supplies and reagent and such that we need to run the tests. So if we could, I would love the opportunity to run more tests to really be able to ramp that up, but we are not there yet. So with that, that's where all of this messaging around social distancing, staying home, taking care of loved ones, taking the kids out of school, that's where a lot of this thought process came from. I can tell you we continue to see people and get calls every day of folks that are symptomatic. Probably our biggest challenge right now is people going to work sick. So as leaders of nonprofits, in order to help us with this, if you could ensure that you have a policy in place or a screening program in place to ensure that if you are still working in the office, especially if you are essential services, that you have different protocols in place to hopefully try to keep the rest of your individuals that work for you healthy and safe. I talk to lots of businesses every single day. I talk to some in manufacturing. I talk to healthcare. I talk to long-term. I talk to grocery. I talk to construction. You name it, it's across the board. My staff is doing an amazing job of trying to get information out there. One of the hardest things I think for all of Nebraska is really understanding the directed health measures. So yesterday the governor came out and did add some additional directed health measures to all of the state, and that verbiage had to do with also closing salons, barber shops, fitness centers, and things of that nature through April 30th. We were fortunate in that I work very, very closely with city officials, with Mayor Getchman, with Brian Newton. So we had already had some conversations and did a directed health measure within the city limits of Fremont about a week ago. So this is really trying to allow us to hamper down to get through this weekend, because here in Nebraska, we are not anticipating that surge probably anywhere until April 23rd to April 25th. So really what a lot of people do here these next 2 weeks is really going to make a difference on what we might see here in Nebraska. I just want to remind everybody, especially, with your employees, with your families, we all need to, if possible, stay home. So here, even at the health department, we've implemented teams where we're working from homes different weeks. So we've split up our teams so that we have essential personnel that would be able to respond if some of us would get sick. I'm also telling people to please avoid group gatherings in any way, shape, or form. If you have to have a gathering, absolutely no more than 10 people with at least 6 feet between everyone. Do not visit or host people who don't live with you. And I know this is extremely difficult. And, I have this scenario in my very own personal life with my husband's parents. They don't sleep in our house, but they basically live there. We have to do what we can to keep our loved ones healthy and safe. And nobody knows that, but what that is, except for those households. So just know anything we can do to cut down on large amounts of people convening, that's what's going to get us through this. The one other thing we're telling people, if you are sick, stay home. Unfortunately, with a lot of the cases that we're investigating, we're seeing a wide array of symptoms. We're seeing people, with the fever, cough, and shortness of breath that the CDC has been talking about for 2 months. Unfortunately, we're also seeing people that have lost their sense of taste and smell, have had horrible headaches, and basically chalked it up to allergies, and they are now COVID positive. I have a case that I investigated from last week who was asymptomatic, who had direct contact but thought she had allergies, and she is COVID positive. So unfortunately, this situation is fluid. It's changing every single day, and we are trying our very, very best to get the most accurate and up-to-date information out there. I want to give a huge thank you to the Fremont Area United Way. Like Christy alluded to earlier, we went ahead and got the 211 number up and going. I think that was probably the middle to the end of March. They're letting us store all of our PPE that we get in down at their warehouse. Without that partnership, I don't know what we would do. So all of the nonprofits, I know we've talked, quite a bit with you, but thank you for everything that you're doing to keep our communities going and to help ensure that families, individuals, and children are still taken care of during this pandemic. Last but not least, as the health department, we're here to be a resource for you. I know there's lots of information, coming out at times. Sometimes it seems redundant, but we're trying to do our very, very best to get that same consistent messaging out. So if you haven't followed us on social media, please do so, and please help us share and get the word out as much as we possibly can.
All right, thank you, Tara. I think there will be some interesting questions for sure after we get through this update, but I want to thank you all for providing this detail. And for those of you, now it looks like we have a few additional people on the Zoom. So everything is important to share because we need people to get this information and share it, as Tara mentioned. So let's move on to Lutheran Family Services and Michelle Padilla.
Hello, everyone. Like Gary said, I'm Michelle Padilla with Lutheran Family Services, and I also represent the Fremont Family Coalition. So as many of you guys have already mentioned, we're trying our best to work together as a community. So Lutheran Family Services is a part of that team that's coming together with a no wrong door type approach. So if you contact any of our agencies, we're gonna get you connected with whomever can meet your needs or come together to meet your needs the best to our ability. Our physical location is temporarily closed just to ensure the well-being of those we serve and our staff. Although our building is closed, all of our services continue. What we have been spending a lot of time on is navigating systems with individuals. If they're new to the DHS application process or unemployment, or just are not familiar with resources in our community, our case managers are available to assist with those things now and through this process and after the pandemic as well. We also assist with basic needs requests. So as others have mentioned, we have a central navigator in our community. So when one calls into United Way, those calls are facilitated between United Way and the central navigator for the Fremont Coalition. And then she's able to get those cases out to case managers in our community so we can help meet the needs of our community partners. Our services, the case management piece and the behavioral health piece. So behavioral health for adults and children continue via telehealth. And we are accepting new clients in all of our programs. So even if you are currently receiving therapy services, you can initiate that at any time. Let's see. And as we all know, and as Melissa mentioned, we're still recovering from last year's flood. That's not new news for all of us. And for many, the pandemic is just an added layer of stress to already a stressful situation that they've been dealing with for the last year. So we do have disaster case managers that have been working with flood survivors and to meet their needs and to work through a recovery plan with them. And they are still available. So I know that many are not thinking about the flood right now because we're focusing on the pandemic, but unfortunately we have those two things going on simultaneously. I'm gonna say this message in Spanish as well, and then our numbers to contact LFS is 402-941-0075, and we have an email address set up for questions or for requests for assistance as well. And that's info@lfsneb.org. And I believe all of our numbers will be posted in the chat. So if you want to look back on that, you are welcome to do that. So, buenas tardes, mi nombre es Michelle Padilla y estoy representando Lutheran Family Services y el Coalición de Fremont. Lutheran Family Services local físico está cerrado temporalmente para asegurar el bienestar de nuestros clientes y empleados. Aunque estamos cerrados, nosotros seguimos aquí por ustedes. Todos nuestros servicios ahora están virtual. Servicios de comunidad, niños y familiares están disponibles durante los tiempos difíciles que ha traído el COVID-19. Podemos ayudar para aplicar por beneficios y estamos por usted por recuperar después de la pandemia. Servicios de terapia sigue por adultos y niños y estamos aceptando nuevos clientes. Todos sabemos que apenas estamos recuperando de las inundaciones del año pasado. Nosotros tenemos trabajadores sociales para el desastre. Aquí sigue ofreciendo ayuda. Los números y el email para buscar ayuda van a estar en el lugar del chat. Muchas gracias. Thank you all for joining us today.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, panelists and listeners as well, those who are participating right now. These are some great individuals who are trying their best to help the community, and we appreciate them. With that being said, have I missed anyone else, just to be sure? All right, doesn't look like I have. Let's go ahead and start with some Q&A, and if we can just, if you feel as though you want to answer the question first, just wave so I know it's you, and then everybody can kind of take turns from there. The first question that I have is, it's actually one that's similar to the one written in the chat here. What kinds of donations are needed right now in the community? So I'm assuming the foundations might want to chime in on that one.
This is Christy with Fremont Area United Way. I think it's somewhat obvious that financial donations are always accepted. Gift cards are also a generous donation that can always be accepted. And there's various ways to give those. You know, gift cards are something that benefit in several directions. If you're able to purchase a gift card at a restaurant or at fast food, we know that our restaurant industry at this time is challenged to move through this new experience. And so if you're able to purchase gift cards at restaurants and purchase gift cards for food, that is something that certainly all the nonprofits would accept and then get out to those folks who are seeking food. So that's one way, as well as the financial donations. Those are both ways. I know United Way did a press release with the city of Fremont recently about care and share. So that's just another way, if you can, when you pay your utility bill, pay $1 or $2 more, round up. That also is something that the city then uses to support those requests for help. So United Way works with the city of Fremont to receive that care and share funding to get that out into those who are asking or needing for utility assistance. So those are a few ways. As far as the items needed, I don't know if Tara from Three Rivers wants to talk any about that items, because I would say that one has continually changed, and I want to have the most up-to-date information.
Yeah, and so thank you, Christy. Make sure I'm on. Yes, okay. So we are constantly needing many things for the community, and I know that United Way helps us and kind of coordinates all of our donations that we need. I know that we need face shields, visors, we need face shields, we need ear guards, we need hand sanitizer, we need some additional personal protective equipment. I know that we also are looking for 400 cloth masks. We are open to improving other patterns. We're also looking for gowns. So really our list is quite extensive. anything that we can get in to get out to the communities that we serve is absolutely essential. So I think Christy Alley said she had sent an updated list, I think, to you guys today. And so thank you very, very much, for all of that. I would also tell you cleansing wipes, anything along those lines are things that can be used right away.
Does anyone else want to add in on that question? Just want to make sure everyone got a chance to respond. All right, we have another question here, and then there seems to be not a question, but a comment on the chat as well. I'll read this other question, which is, based on local resources or handouts for teammates or team members that are working still, are there any handouts specific to COVID-19 that can be shared?
I know Melissa Deers here again with the Community Foundation. I know we're working on that. Different members of our task force have different resources detailed. We're working on pulling together a singular document that can be shared more widely. Again, it's a little bit of a moving target because the needs will change, but we are creating that. I know some of the individuals around the table today have their own lists, as Tara was detailing, but we are working to make something comprehensive available to be shared community-wide.
All right, any other answers to that? Any other handout information?
I was going to comment, 9 Health Services, of course, our workers are considered essential, as all healthcare workers are, and we've implemented a mental health and wellness toolkit and included table tents, posters, postcards with 211 information, our EAP information, COVID-19 specific information, and the NIE Crisis Fund. But that was something that we saw as a huge need for those people still working, is to address their mental health and stress levels.
All right, thank you, Kathy. So the comment on the chat, for those of you who can't see it, I don't have a question, but I do want to let everyone know that WellCare Medicaid members have some value-added benefits available to them, one of which is PCI booklet. This allows members to order $10 worth of personal care items each month at no charge and have them mailed directly to the member. Example of items that can be ordered are hand sanitizer, feminine hygiene, toothbrushes, shampoo, etc. And there's a contact number there as well. It says melinda.spray@wellcare.com or cell phone number 402-216-2315. So thank you for that note. And then Kelly has posted some of the needs as mentioned by Tara. And yes, please put this information in the comments. Yes, it is in the comments. If you guys have any other items that you want to post in the comments, please feel free to do so. There was one specific question about food. What kind of food would be needed? I know that GFDC, we are doing some giveaways coming up next week and the week following that is just meat specific, but if anyone has heard any other needs, feel free to chime in here. All right, seeing as though there's just silence there. Any other impacts that you're seeing in other avenues, not specifically health, but housing or employment, those issues? I know we looked at a recent report that showed that there were about, I believe about 1,000 or so folks who have filed for unemployment that have been recorded, at least in Dodge County. And I just got another sheet today that was an update that showed those numbers had increased by about 400. So, but we're aware that we have businesses that are still operational at 100% or more, meaning that if they're more, they're looking for more workers. So we can try to build that pipeline of people who are unemployed and looking to get those jobs that are available. I think we're going to work on trying to put together a flyer to show that to the public. There's a question here from Katrina. Are dental employees considered essential?
So, and this is Tara, I can answer that. So right now, all elective procedures and those type of things are not allowed through the directed health measure. So really the only kind of dental services would be those that are emergent. So a lot of the dental offices are closed and only taking those that would be considered emergent.
Thank you. There's also a post, and Tara, sorry to pick on you, but you're our health expert here, where the news media and the governor's report announced, I guess, total cases. And I know you mentioned those in relation to our actual county. Can you, I guess, fill me in on what the total numbers are as of April 10th? What I have in front of me, and you can correct me, states that we are at 635 cases, total tested 9,375, and total folks who have passed away 15.
Yes, that's correct. I just pulled up the dashboard while I'm talking to you too. So that would be, now keep in mind, that's only updated twice a day, in the morning, and then I think again at 6 o'clock at night. In addition to that, if you want to go just a step further, in Dodge County alone, and when I said there's not widespread testing available, there's been 161 tests completed, 7 being positive. So if you look at the population of our county, that's not adequate. So that's why a lot of these things that we're trying to do to cut down on flattening the curve is absolutely essential, because we don't have the testing capabilities right now to be able to test more. If you lined us up, had 10 of us in a row, my best guess is probably 3 to 4 of us would be positive with each group that we had. So you are right though, Gary, 635 positives, that's as of reported right now, 93, 75 total tested with 15 deaths.
Thank you.
Yep.
We have another question here. This is based on essential businesses. What should essential businesses do when an employee contracts the virus?
So when an employee contracts the virus, they work directly with public health. We do what we call a contact investigation. And so with that contact investigation, we're able to find out really who had been in close contact with that person for basically 10 or more minutes. Close contact, I'm talking sitting with 2 to 3 feet, from each other. So we start with that, have to go through our public health process. And then from there, depending on where they work or what they do, we will also work with that employer. So I'll use an example from last week. We had an employer who had a relatively small office, but there was somebody that was positive that was in the office. Where it starts to get a little bit hairy is, was that employee in the office while they were symptomatic? If they were, then obviously you'd want to try to, if possible, go into a 14-day quarantine with anybody that was in close contact around that person. So it's kind of a case-by-case scenario because we have different situations with everything that we're doing. The best thing is if you've had, and this is also in our directed health measures, if you have had close contact with somebody that's a lab-confirmed COVID-19 case, you need to go home and self-quarantine for 14 days. Additionally, there at work then, Things need to be wiped down and disinfected. There needs to be policies and procedures and practices in place to really ensure the health and safety of the employees while they're there. So know the contact investigation is really what drives what's going to be happening and what that looks like. The other part that I want to tell you guys too is I've never talked to so many people in my life. They said they had COVID-19, have never even been tested or been to a doctor or even have symptoms. So unfortunately, the other side of this is people are also looking at this as a way, you know, maybe not to work. And then we have these other people on the other side who would give anything to be able to go to work and they can't. So I also want to just caution you on that other side. I mean, we almost had a daycare shut down because somebody had said they were positive, their kid tested positive. Heck, they hadn't even been to the doctor. So I just want to also put that out there, you know, as well. The first thing to do is to track the information, follow it, and then of course take it seriously as well.
Thank you. It's great information. Let's see. We have another question from Laura. Are there ways that families who are at home besides financial can support other families or those shut in, I believe? We've sent letters and our kids have colored pictures for nursing homes, but any other ideas? So this is just kind of, it looks like some way to shed some positive light on people, provide some opportunity for people to help others in any way. To kind of alleviate some of the stress. Any thoughts? I've seen a lot of sidewalk chalk activities and things like that, but open to any thoughts that you all might have.
This is Christy, Fremont Area United Way. I do think that this is a time to look in your phone at the numbers and the people and your contacts and start calling. Check in with people, check in with anyone that might not have much of a social network. You know, give a phone call out and just say, hey, thinking of you, wondering how you're doing. So I think I've given a few of those phone calls and gotten a few and been so appreciative. So I just encourage everybody to call, try and do a FaceTime, try to reach out to others. There are, ways to be creative. I think a lot of kids at home right now, so putting things out there with ideas on how to spend time productively and how to spend time with your kiddos, I find those valuable, and I think a lot of people do. So I encourage people to keep thinking creatively and keep reaching out in the ways that it's safe to do that.
Anyone else want to chime in?
I would add just one other thought to that, Christy, because that's perfect. I know we've had conversation within the task force. We've got our ministerial association encouraging congregations to be reaching out to fellow members, but then also kind of your neighbors, keeping an eye open for your neighbors. If you're aware of neighbors that you have living around you who might fall into those at-risk categories, if you can safely try to connect with them to just make sure that they're getting what they need. We have concerns about those, especially seniors who really are discouraged from accessing grocery stores and that sort of thing in a safe manner. Are they getting what they need? We have a local Meals on Wheels program, which as of this moment is pretty much at capacity, but we're exploring possibilities there for expanding their outreach or finding ways to meet that need. But first, it's a matter of kind of looking out for your neighbors. So if there's a way to do that, keep in mind those living around you that might need that extra attention.
Thank you, Melissa. That reminded me just to share that if you are wanting to volunteer, it is harder in this time with the social distancing and so forth, but we are keeping a running list of volunteers at United Way, and then creatively thinking on how to utilize those volunteers. So it could be it could be calling someone who needs a phone call. It could be helping someone who's never ordered groceries online before, learn how to order those groceries online or how to use their credit card online. So if you're interested, you can call and ask for Jackie, our volunteer coordinator. And just, you know, this is constantly changing, as Tara and others say, so staying on top of what's needed is always something new. But I think if we have folks who are willing and wanting to be volunteers, we're always wanting to connect you with what the needs are.
Thanks, Christy, Melissa. I know there was an announcement on the news today, which this might be similar to what can help locally. There's an app that someone created, and I think it's in California, where they're merging and matching volunteers with families or elderly or those who are sick with getting groceries or supplies. And so you go on the app and basically it connects you to someone that needs something delivered. So that sounds similar to what Christy's mentioning. And so if we can make that more of a public pitch to the community, that might be something that we could get behind. So good points. Another question from Tyler. Our daycare director has been wondering, as of right now, does it look like daycares will be closing?
Yeah, so that is something we've had tons of questions on. And as of right now, I don't foresee the daycares closing because we still have to have workers that are going to work to provide a lot of these essential services. That's where some of the changes within the daycares have been made, of limiting 10 kids to a room. So then that way, if there would potentially be an outbreak or some kind of investigation that would need to be done, it wouldn't be an entire daycare center. Now, with that being said, you know, obviously the best thing is if mom and dad are home and not able to work, our hope would be is that they would keep the kiddos home with them. But as of right now, I do not foresee anything where daycares will be shutting down or be forced to shut down.
Okay, any additional questions? We are at 9 minutes remaining on this call. I want to thank you all for participating, but I want to make sure that we get any final questions thrown on the chat so that these lovely ladies can answer those questions. I know there's a lot of misunderstandings going out in the community about what's right and wrong and where you should go to get information and whatnot. So if we can try to merge those things together in partnership, which I think these groups are already doing, so that what we send out on our social media or to our membership base is uniform and the same, coming from Three Rivers Public Health or whomever, I think that would be great. I want to ask Kathy, are you seeing anything with NIE that you'd like to share that maybe we're not aware of that might benefit us today?
Well, one thing that as a positive that's come from this is realizing that the older generation that we specifically, of course, deal with, they've been through circumstances like this before. Not necessarily exactly like this, but when you talk about isolation, social isolation, worry, fear, the unknown, those are struggles that the elderly population have been through. And so we have given them the respect that they deserve and reached out to them to say, you know, what recommendations do you have for us? You know, what advice do you have for us? And that also just validates their feelings, gives them a chance to reach out. We've been really proud of our team members, as I'm sure the health department, as Tara has talked about, and other healthcare facilities in Fremont have been, and in Dodge County as a whole. We're all trying really hard to keep this beast out of our campuses, because the folks we deal with are those who are most vulnerable to it. I don't know how many of you saw the meme where there's like a grizzly bear in front, and those are like your healthcare workers for the elderly, and we're desperately trying to protect our cubs back here, but the cubs are the grandpas and grandmas that we deal with. We could use, this isn't necessarily what you were asking, but because we're trying to protect our folks so much, we're having them participate in life enrichment activities within their room. So they no longer get to participate in group activities, which is really hard. So we're trying to get them their own supplies. So everybody likes something different, but some people like books, some people like adult coloring books or artwork, and we're trying to make sure that they each have their own supplies. So for the person who was asking what else can we do to help, you know, you could send colored pencils in a small package of colored pencils that we can share with one individual so that they can have safe, clean supplies for themselves.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Just to be clear here, there was an additional question about how people could get on the task force, or at least be on the contact list for the Wednesday COVID-19 task force.
I don't know if you want to take that, Melissa, or if you want I to, or anybody else.
Yeah,
Email or call and tell us, or I'll try to get your information from the chat group. The more people we have joining in to find solutions, the better. So thank you for asking, and let's get you involved. That's been our motto, is help us to serve the community. So you are welcome to contact Melissa at the foundation. You are welcome to contact myself, Christy, at United Way. There are a team of people working through long-term recovery, through the task force, to try to look at what challenges we haven't responded to yet and how we can do so better. So please reach out.
I wanted to just mention one other thing, and I meant to do this when I was talking to you guys earlier. There's been a lot of now talk. It's been a week today from the CDC with recommend wearing cloth masks out into the public. So I just wanted to give just a little bit of information on that. If people do want to wear a mask out into the public, I want to make sure it's clear that they're not PPE masks that are meant for healthcare and essential workers. These are really cloth masks. It can be a scarf, it can be something that covers the mouth, but the idea really is to cover the nose and the mouth. It's not meant to be worn time and time and time again without being washed. After you use it, you're out and about. I mean, if you're following the rules, you should only be out once in the community, right? Getting groceries. So if you're doing that, obviously, then when you'd get home, you know, you'd wash that. I just want to make sure people understand these really are not safe, excuse me, for children, especially children under the age of 2. So that would not be, I mean, your kids really at the end of the day, and I know that everybody's situation is different. We really shouldn't have kids out shopping. My kids are like bouncing against the walls, wanting to go to the grocery store. Well, guess what? They have to stay home just because it's for the health and safety of them and for everybody else that they might see. I also just want people to know, if you see somebody with that, that doesn't mean necessarily that they're sick. This is just now a new recommendation that just came out about a week ago to help us combat this virus.
Sarah, I have a question for you. Is this acceptable or not? I've seen a lot of comments online about what a mask should look like. Could you help the folks understand whether or not this is acceptable?
I would say that one would probably not be acceptable. That might get you, they might think it's Halloween. And you might get kind of a different thought process. A mask about from your nose, covering your nose and your mouth is really what they want, because it's to keep out, if you're sneezing or having any kind of droplets that are going out, you're containing it within that cloth cover.
Okay.
But thank you for that.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that people were clear that the Halloween mask is not acceptable. I actually went into a gas station with my Incredible Hulk mask on, and for a moment it was funny, and then it got a little dangerous. So please try not to follow my lead there.
Well, and then Gary, the other thing that I would tell you is I don't think that mask is washable. So if you did wear it out, you likely would have to throw it away or figure out a way to disinfect it with Clorox. And then I don't know what that would do for you. So
yeah, those are all good points, and why no one should follow my lead.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Let's see, we're down to 2 minutes, and Kelly has posted at least the link to Fremont United Way, which also has the CDC is recommending wearing. She's just commenting based on what you guys have mentioned here. Let's see. So there seems to be a completion of the questions. So we don't have any other questions for you all. I would just like to thank all the folks who joined the call. Be sure to look up these links that we have on the chat if you haven't already. There's a lot of links to each of these organizations. We have Fremont Area Community Foundation, Lutheran Family Services, Care Corps Lifehouse, Three Rivers Public Health Department, and Fremont Area United Way. We want to thank all of you for joining us today. And let's see, we do have some comments coming down here. Oh, yes, someone said, thanks, great information. And so you guys did a great job today. We will try to reconvene maybe at a later date to make sure that we continue to get this out to the public. So thank you all. Be safe, as Tara said, and the others, and follow the guidelines. Take care.
Thank you all.